Star Trek, Starfleet Academy's cadets have 1,000 years of Starfleet and United Federation of Planets history to learn from. Premiering January 15, 2026, on Paramount+, Star Trek, Starfleet Academy is set after Star Trek, Discovery and becomes the furthest continuing point in Star Trek's timeline. Set in 3191 and thereafter, Star Trek, Starfleet Academy introduces the first class of cadets to matriculate on Earth in 120 years since the burn. Starfleet Academy students will study, work, play, and serve aboard the USS Athena, a starship that doubles as the Academy's campus when it docks in San Francisco. Starfleet Academy's cadets primarily enter command, operations, and sciences tracks, but the history of Starfleet and the Federation will also be taught. Learning from the Federation's mistakes and triumphs is crucial in order for the Starfleet officers of the future not to repeat the errors of history and to be inspired by Starfleet's past heroes. Perhaps the Dr. Robert Picardo, the 800-year-old emergency medical hologram who was alive for most of Starfleet's key events, will double as a history professor in Star Trek Starfleet Academy. Regardless, here are 10 key events in the Federation's 1,000-year history that Star Trek, Starfleet Academy's cadets need to know. First Contact, and the truth about Zefram Cochrane's first warp flight, Star Trek, First Contact. Every schoolchild in the Federation knows about First Contact. On April 5, 2063, Dr. Zefram Cochrane, James Cromwell, achieved humanity's first warp flight. This caught the attention of the Vulcans, who landed in Bozeman, Montana, to meet Cochrane, beginning mankind's progress into a spacefaring species. However, by Star Trek, Starfleet Academy's 32nd century, the cadets should learn the truth that history didn't record. Commander William Riker, Jonathan Frakes, and Lieutenant Commander Geordie LaForge, LeVar Burton, of the USS Enterprise E were Cochrane's co-pilots aboard the Phoenix. Starfleet Academy in the 32nd century should teach the pivotal role Captain Jean-Luc Picard, Patrick Stewart, and the Enterprise crew played in ensuring first contact happened, and that they prevented the Borg from assimilating 21st century Earth. The United Federation of Planets founding Star Trek, Enterprise. Starfleet Academy's cadets have to learn about the founding of the United Federation of Planets and the role Captain Jonathan Archer, Scott Bakula, and the NX-01 Enterprise played. Captain Archer and the first Starship Enterprise's pioneering 22nd century voyages forged the critical alliances that formed the Federation. Captain Archer presided over the signing of the articles that led to the birth of the Federation in 2161, as seen in Star Trek, Enterprise's series finale. Archer later left Starfleet for a career in galactic politics and was elected as the first president of the Federation. What really happened to the USS Discovery in 2258? Star Trek, Discovery. Every cadet in Star Trek, Starfleet Academy knows about the USS Discovery. Captain Michael Burnham, Sonequa Martin Green, and Discovery's crew solved the mysteries of the burn and the dark matter anomaly, and Burnham found and secured the progenitor's technology after arriving in the 32nd century. However, Starfleet Academy must teach the real history of the USS Discovery, not what was reported to Starfleet in the 23rd century, the truth that the USS Discovery stopped a rogue AI called Control from committing galactic genocide, and that Discovery going 930 years into the future prevented Control from ever gaining sentience. How peace happened between the Klingons and Federation. Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country. Klingons have been allies of the Federation for centuries, with a few hiccups along the way, and Star Trek, Starfleet Academy has a Klingon cadet named Jaden Krag, Kareem Dayan. But how the Klingon Empire made peace with the Federation needs to be taught. Starfleet Academy's cadets need to learn about the Khitomer Peace Conference in 2293, and how Captain James T. Kirk, William Shatner, and the USS Enterprise, along with Captain Hikaru Sulu, George Takei, of the USS Excelsior, exposed a conspiracy that tried to prevent peace between the Federation and the Klingons. Battle of Wolf 359. Star Trek, The Next Generation. One of the most pivotal battles in the 24th century has to be a major history lesson taught in Star Trek, Starfleet Academy. In 2367, the Borg made its first full-scale assault on the Federation. Captain Picard of the USS Enterprise D was assimilated and turned into Locutus of Borg to lead the invasion of Earth. At Wolf 359, the Borg's cube decimated 50 starships before Commander Riker led the Enterprise to rescue Picard and stop the Borg. The Battle of Wolf 359 changed the course of Federation history, causing the death of Captain Benjamin Sisko's, Avery Brooks' wife and traumatizing Captain Liam Shaw, Todd Stashwick. How Captain Sisko and the Federation won the Dominion War. Star Trek, Deep Space Nine. The Dominion War in Star Trek, Deep Space Nine was the closest the Federation came to being conquered by another galactic power. Starfleet Academy's cadets need to learn how Captain Benjamin Sisko, Starfleet, and their allies turned the tide and defeated the Dominion in 2375. Star Trek, Starfleet Academy's teaser trailer hinted that cadets will learn about Captain Sisko becoming one with the prophets of Bajor, but the full scope of the Dominion War and the pivotal role Sisko played in saving the Federation must be fully taught in the 32nd century. The USS Voyager returned home from the Delta Quadrant. Star Trek, Voyager. The USS Voyager's 7 years lost in the Delta Quadrant and its homecoming in 2378 were historic triumphs for Captain Catherine Janeway, Kate Mulgrew, and her crew. Voyager traversed 70,000 light-years in just 7 years and made it back to the Federation in one piece, which are lessons that Starfleet Academy's cadets must learn from. Voyager's crew became galactic heroes and household names, with Janeway promoted to Admiral soon after her homecoming. Voyager not only made numerous allies and achieved historic first contacts throughout the Delta Quadrant, but Janeway also dealt a crucial blow to the Borg that led to their ultimate defeat in 2401. The Mars attack of 2385. Star Trek, Picard and Star Trek, Prodigy. In Star Trek, Starfleet Academy's 32nd century, the full truth of the Mars attack of 2385, as seen in Star Trek, Picard and Star Trek, Prodigy, must be known and taught. Synthetic workers went rogue and destroyed the Utopia Planeteer fleet yards on first contact day in 2385. Mars was set on fire, thousands of starships were annihilated, and 92,000 lives were lost. The Mars attack led to the injured Federation pulling back within its borders, ceasing galactic exploration, and banning artificial lifeforms for 14 years. However, the true culprit of the Mars attack was Commodore O. Tamlin Tomita, the leader of the Romulan Zhat Vash, who posed as Starfleet's head of security. Star Trek, Starfleet Academy's cadets should learn a full understanding of the Mars attack, its perpetrators' infiltration of Starfleet, and how one of the darkest days of the late 24th century grievously impacted the Federation. What really happened to Ambassador Spock in the Kelvin timeline? Star Trek, 2009. By Star Trek, Starfleet Academy's late 32nd century, the Federation is well aware of the multiverse and countless alternate realities, including the Kelvin timeline of J.J. Abrams' Star Trek movies. The temporal wars were fought to protect Star